What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? What's going on, Cigar Nation? This is Sean with the Smoking Section coming at you live from the virtual smoke deck tonight. Tonight, we are going to have an amazing show. We might have Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and Johnny, the cigar banker, stopping in to check in with us. I know Jack is over in Nicaragua right now, and Johnny, I think, has a birthday party that he might be streaming live from. So it might get a little bit crazy tonight. Tonight, I have a really, really great show for you. Hopefully, you guys all enjoy it. We are going to be going over some of the more.
Bang,
Everybody.
bang,
Bang, bang.
bang.
Yo,
Hey,
everybody. It is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, at his
let's
prettiest.
get it. Let's get it. Hey, look, I'm out here in Nicaragua, man, and I was scared that I wasn't gonna get the cell phone reception or Wi-Fi connection that I needed. So right before we go on the show, I check it and I was like, yo, I can do this freaking show. So let me go ahead and get this show done because that is what's more important. We're currently getting ready to serve dinner. So we're over here at the Perdomo factory, doing a factory tour, and we're about to get ready to have dinner with Arthur, which is the VP of operations for them, man. And I was like, man, hey, y'all go ahead and go in without me, man. So clearly I don't have my light. That's the only thing I don't have. It's really hard to travel with that.
You still look beautiful, man. You still look beautiful.
Look, you know. Hey, man, what's up, Sean? How you doing, bro?
Yo, we're doing good, man. I got everything all set up, man. We were ready to go. I was ready to take it over for you guys. I was going to give you guys so much rep time.
Hey,
rep time.
Hey, we already knew you was going to do the thing, but I was like, man, it's a lot harder to do a show when you by yourself. And the caption said live from Nicaragua. So we can't be in Nicaragua and not go live.
I mean, I could have been in Nicaragua. You know what I mean? I could have bought a house in Nicaragua.
You could have. Man, how's your week been, bro?
Man, it has been beautiful. I've had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I go back to work Friday night from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I'll be off all week, dropping some goodies when it comes to some videos this week. I can't wait,
man. Hey, look. Hey, you're out there doing great things, man, and we appreciate you guys. I'm looking down right now because I'm sharing to some groups that I'm in. So with that being said, man, look, we got a great show from you guys, man. Sean had an amazing topic that came up, and man, we're gonna rock with it, Sean.
Yeah, boy, let's do it, man. Let's rip it.
Hey, look. So we spent day one in Managua. So for anybody that's coming in, doing any factory tours or anything like that. You got to come through Managua before you get to Esteli. Esteli is still like a 3-hour drive up the mountains and different things of that nature to get up here. And man, we did that drive today, man. So we're gonna be knee deep into the Perdomo factory tomorrow. And man, let's just say this, man. It's gonna be freaking crazy for sure.
No, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see it, dude. I hope you post lots of pictures for all of us to see.
Oh, I will. You know dang well I will.
Absolutely.
So it's been on the run. So again, probably internet connections probably be in and out. So if I get blurry or anything like that, y'all already know what it is. But at the end of the day, Sean, let's get this thing started.
Let's do it, man. Let's rip it.
We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
So, man, look, we're the virtual smoke deck, and it wouldn't be right if we didn't come in with some fire tonight, man. Tonight we're talking about, picking your cigars and when you first come into the cigar lounge, it's a lot of overwhelming. It's a lot of things that's going on. So being able to select those cigars, select them right, is the most important part. Not a lot of cigar lounges have real certified tobacconists. And Sean, you have worked in the lounge, so you understand how this stuff works, man.
Absolutely. It's very important for a lot of people first coming in to be directed that's not going to wind up turning them away right off the rip. So it's very, very important. What's up, Christopher Ojeda and Terry Monroe? What's going on? Both of my boys. That's my best man and my father, everybody. I love them boys.
Charles Roof is in the building. What's up, Charles?
What up, Charles? What up?
Hey, look, Charles. Hey, Charles. Next time we do a trip, we got to get you in. We got to get you in, man. We got to get you guys down, man. Look, when you thinking about cigars, right? And you're like, what do I pick? What do I select? What is this? What is that? Man, we've seen Black Sheep coming in. We've seen My Father. We've seen Oliva. We have seen Padron. Obviously, we're at the Perdomo Hotel right now. We've seen Tobacco Fields, bro. It is like boom. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's like now you're getting into the game of it, and now we're talking selection of cigars and different things of that nature. But to see it all unravel, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm a kid in a candy store right now.
I mean, like from what I've heard, like trying to get into the Perdomo tour is like a year out in advance. It is that popular to be able to see every step of what Perdomo does, and Perdomo is absolutely amazing. Like that tour, from what I understand, Mr. Nick Perdomo winds up he gives such a homey feel, like you are literally family. And he treats you like, hey man, you're not smoking anything. Have a cigar. Let's go. Like, let's go. You guys are part of my family now. Come on in, eat, enjoy, learn. I mean, it's an amazing trip.
Hey, look, it's so Perdomo-ish. We got Perdomo waters, bro.
Yo, you're gonna send me one of those, right? You're gonna send me
UPS. I got you.
I'll even take FedEx. I mean, FedEx is fine. I'll take UPS, FedEx, whatever.
hey, you know what's crazy? I know we already kind of went into the topic already, but that's just because my brain is already my brain's been running. I checked. So here's a little backstory, right? I told the guys, I said, look, you guys got to hold it down because there's no way I'm going to be able to make it tonight because the internet connection has not served me well. And when we first got here, it was skeptical to a point where the internet would go in and out. We didn't know what it was, right? A lot of people don't really realize that Nicaragua is still kind of a third world type country, right? 83% of the nation lives underneath our cost of living. So what I mean by that is, for a household that's making $1,800 a month, they're meeting that, the cost of living factor. But it's so many more families out here that's not living in that household income bracket. And it's just almost mind-boggling to see and really picture it and analyze how much the cigar world has meant to these people, right? So we're looking at a lot of these things that is here and happening, right? And we're like, Jesus, we got a good life, man. Jesus, we got so many things to be thankful for, right? So when I'm checking the internet connection, I'm sitting at the Domino's tables because we've been playing Domino's all freaking day.
Ooh,
and I'm sitting at the Domino's table as we get closer to the game time, and I'm like, let me check the connection. So I check the connection and notice we got fucking good Wi-Fi. So I'm like, you know what? It's a wrap. So I literally got my entire setup, everything done in a matter of 5-10 minutes max, and which is rare. It's unless you really know what you're doing. And there was a lot of factors that go into that.
Talking about Wi-Fi. This is talking about what? Oh, you back?
Am I?
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit. You were breaking up a little bit.
Nevertheless, man, we're out here at the Perdomo factory doing great things. Learning more about their seed to boxing routines and different things of that nature. And man, it's been great. We got a cigar lounge and a couple of their guests out here called from Enfuego. Shout out to Enfuego Cigars out in Dallas, Texas. They have been really welcoming to us, and man, it's been great. So yeah, let's get it.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So it's actually kind of funny that you're there in the Perdomo factory, because one of the first cigars that actually I got turned on to as a beginner cigar smoker was actually the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne, which everybody hears. Anybody who's been around me when I was working at the cigar shop, anybody who's watched any of my videos will know that usually that's one of the first cigars that I wind up introducing any beginner cigar smoker to, because it is very, very smooth, very, it doesn't have a lot of pepper to it, just very all around a great cigar. And it's put together so well that you don't have any canoeing, you don't have any splitting. It's all around a beautiful cigar with that Connecticut wrapper and just such a mellow flavor that you can wind up going through and kind of introducing yourself to what do I have to do to kind of start getting into this, pastime of cigar smoking. So it's very convenient that we're doing this topic tonight while you are over there in the Perdomo Nicaragua factory.
And I think, when you're looking at the premise of beginner cigars, I mean, one of the most beginningness cigars, I know that's not a word, so
we're gonna make it a word.
We're gonna make it a word today.
We're gonna make it a word.
But everybody that's beginning in the cigar industry has typically smoked a Perdomo. A 10th anniversary champagne has probably been not only recommended but highly recommended by all tobacconists all the way around. And we was hoping to have Nick on this show this evening. Nick had a birthday, so happy birthday, Nick!
Happy birthday, Nick!
We weren't able to do it, and obviously Arthur wasn't able to do it because dinner is going on, and we had to make things work. But when you're looking at what a beginner smoker smokes, you're always looking at a Connecticut that's mellow, still give you some notes and complexities that cigars often give off, but you're also looking at it from a different segue of being able to just kind of get into the nuances of smoking.
Yep.
And we're seeing that Perdomo has 3 factories here in Nicaragua. One that does mainly epicure sizes, another one that does everything, and then it's another one for kind of all their other miscellaneous things that they can't do at their factory. And the reason for it is really Perdomo has gotten to a point that they're growing and they're producing so many cigars, but staffing has been a problem. It's a 0% employment, opportunities or even people to take on the opportunities here in Nicaragua or Esteli, because a lot of people are getting visas and moving to the United States. So it's really starting to put the different regions in a real big bind. And
I mean, for all of our viewers who have never had the chance to meet Nick Perdomo, I'm going to give you a little quick backstory. When there was a younger version of Sean, about 22, 23 years old, there was a cigar shop in Medford, New Jersey that was having a Perdomo event. And there was a horrible thunderstorm that wound up knocking out our power. And the event still stayed on. We all stayed on. It got really smoky. The ventilation wasn't working because obviously the power was out. The rain was coming down harder than I've ever seen it in New Jersey up to that point in my life. And I got into the truck with my dad after we left, and I said, you know what? I forgot to ask, Mr. Perdomo if he could sign my ticket that I had bought to go to this event. And I went back inside. I'm dripping wet from running back down the driveway. And I went into Nick and I said, Mr. Perdomo, do you mind signing my ticket? And he got out his gold Sharpie, which Nick always signs everything in a gold Sharpie. I hope to let you know. His cigars are gold, and so is his signature, and so is his heart. He got out that gold Sharpie, looked at my ticket, and said, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to sign this. And my heart was broken. I was like, oh, my God, why? And he goes, hey, give me one of the boxes that has our cigars in it. Let me sign that box. And I got a box of Perdomo cigars with his signature on it. And I'll never forget that day that he was always a staple of just cigars in my mind. Everything I had to smoke was Nick Perdomo. Everything that I repped was always Nick Perdomo, because he touched that inner cigar child in me that was like, hey, you know what? Here you go, bud. This is something that you're going to remember. And Nick is that way all the time. No matter who
Absolutely.
you are, he loves his workers, he loves his clientele. He's such an amazing guy, and Jack is absolutely blessed and just so lucky to be there at the Nick Perdomo factory.
And kind of the testament to Nick is, what you're talking about is he's always been that way. But
Yep.
that's almost like what you have to be successful in the cigar industry, right? People that have a hard time, interacting with different people and all those nuances really struggle in the industry unless you get somebody that can do it for you, right? And one thing about Nick, he's just so genuine, but his team is also genuine, right?
Yep.
The people that are really out here supporting the brand, making the brand what it is
Yep.
just as genuine as him. And it really gets to a point where it's like, what am I, what do it take to be successful in the cigar industry? It takes a spirit of Nick Perdomo to be successful.
Yep. Absolutely, man. And it looks like Charles, chimed in and said, "Hey, Jack, what have you been smoking while you're out there?" So
God.
Let's hear a little bit about that.
So yeah, we got to Managua yesterday, and while in Managua, we had to bring our own cigars because obviously it was the day one of the tour. A lot of people wasn't there yet, and it just wasn't a time to start giving out cigars. And man, I started off with some A-listers, man. Olamac, Palencia, and we got to see their fields, by the way. Palencia's fields. Oh
Beautiful.
my God. Anyway, we so first day was just a bunch of different things that was just fire. Today we got a 4-pack of cigars. I'm sure tomorrow we'll probably get a 4 or 8-pack, and so on and so on. Man, I smoked 4 cigars so far.
Okay.
Which is why I'm not smoking right now. I'm trying to catch up with water. We loaded the bus from Managua and headed to Esteli. We had cigars there. We had beer there. Just great energy, great vibes. So far I've smoked a Paciencia Traverse. I smoked a Perdomo 10-year Maduro. I smoked the 20th anniversary, and don't tell anybody. But I just got done smoking the Amazon Basin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
and we're having dinner now. That's going to rejuvenate the palate. Obviously, drinking water is going to rejuvenate it. But I'm probably got two more cigars left for the night.
Okay.
So, man, it's a lot of smoking.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So Jack, not trying to take lead on this, but I wanted to know,
Take it.
just in case we wind up cutting out at some point in time. Where going off of our topic tonight, where do you suggest people start when they're first starting that cigar journey? Like what are either some cigars or what do you look for? What do you tell somebody to look for that comes up to your counter and says, "Hey, Jack, I'm new to this industry. I want to get into it. Where do I start? Where do I go?"
So typically, I would take people through our beginner sampler, and with our beginner sampler, you have 6 different cigars, different sizes. Some is going to be maybe 2 Robustos, but I try to do different sizes, and I do different origins, right?
Okay.
Because I think the most important thing that you have to try to figure out when dealing with people's palate is what do they like, right? It's like me asking you, do you want your steak well done, or do you want it medium, or do you want it rare, right? And a lot of that is understanding what do you like. So when you're looking at the different when you come in, you don't know these things, right? You don't know how you like your cigar. You don't know how you like your cigar, right? And the reason why you don't know that is because you have never experienced that. So my job is to try to figure out what do you like and put you there, right? And then try to progress from there. So I usually our beginner sampler starts with a Alec Bradley, Connecticut, Gordo. I want to get that Gordo out there because it's best to understand what feels good in your hand. What is too long, what is too short.
Absolutely.
And it's also Honduran. We go with a My Father, Connecticut, Robusto. And the reason we do that is because we know My Father is going to be a spicier cigar along with the next one coming that I'm going to say on that list. But it introduces that pepper note. And if you're trying to intensify that pepper note, then you're able to, kind of create something a little bit longer, right?
Right.
Or progress it a little further. We also go with a AJ Fernandez Corona Gorda, right? So it's a 6.5, not a 6, a 5. It's 5.62 by like 48. So it's a smaller cigar, a little bit longer, but it keeps you engaged and it keeps you with that pepperness, right?
Yep.
We give you a Camacho, which is also Honduran / Dominican. Yep. So that was going to be a lot more mellow. We need to figure that out. We give you a Monte Cristo White Series, which is 100% Dominican. We give you that in a Toro. And then we do a high-end cigar. And the purpose of the high-end cigar is so you don't feel like you're missing something. We usually do like a Zeno Platinum Series. We're going with the more $15 to $16 chubby or Grand Sector or Stout. And the reason we do that is so you can get acclimated with what high-end looks like. And then last thing we do is we do a Arturo Fuente. We know it's Dominican, mellow, creamy, leathery. And now from there, what we tell our customers is to take that, smoke those, take pictures of it right before you start smoking it. Take a picture of it, and if you like it, keep it.
Yep.
If you don't, delete it. Right. Yep. Now you have 7 pictures of cigars either that you like or don't like, which you deleted. Now we can narrow it down. Now I'm looking at the common factors. Okay, did you like Camacho and the Arturo Fuente and the Monte Cristo? Cool. Yep. We need to stick with Dominican, right? Yep. Let's get you some more Dominicans. Did you like the My Father or the AJ Fernandez? So that we need to stick with Nicaraguan. Did you like the Alec Bradleys or the Camacho? We need to stick to Honduras. So you start to really, curate that palette and start to understand. You start to understand what you're really looking for. Yep. I see, brother Ford, to Mulch. Hey, look, no gym, but I did run in Nicaragua this morning, and I'm gonna wake up in the morning and run here as well. So nice. I'm gonna get it in. I have to get it in. Accountability partner right there.
Well, I think by this comment that we have in here by Charles, I think it's safe to say that Charles should not suggest cigars for anybody within his region. But we love you, Charles. It's okay. We'll get you onto some real cigars. I know you're just kidding, brother. I appreciate it. I had to give you something a little bit back. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Jack. Like that's, I said this before. It is so nice to be able to have you within this podcast because you have the ability to lead people in a beautiful way of where to start them out with cigars and be able to pick out, like you said, you have a process. You want to go more Dominican, more Nicaraguan. You have a process in which you're able to narrow down where they want to start or where they want to continue their travels on. And I think that's an absolutely awesome thing that your Cigar Lounge Dapper D's does.
Yeah. And I think it's, I tell people all the time, it's very important to understand the palate. If we don't understand the palate, I mean, I unless I ask you, do you like spicy food or anything like that? Charles made a point that I really want to expound on.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, what the F moment from Charles, that's not how you spell kintsugi. But whatever. And he hasn't kept score in a while, so let's go ahead and get him back to the point of keeping score.
Amen,
But
brother. Amen.
Even looking at this, right? I'm looking at this, and outside of Cavalier White, that is the only Connecticut I see. But Cavalier White is also kind of a medium cigar.
Right.
Out of every single cigar he has suggested has been medium. And this is no knock to you. We're gonna pick on you a little bit, Charles, but no knock to Charles. But this is why, we have tobacconists. This is why we recommend, because then you have somebody that's going in maybe too strong, starting off, and it may run them off, right? To think about this, as a consumer, we have elevated our palate. We have built up our palate to a point where we know what works and what doesn't work for our palate, right?
Absolutely.
I don't like a super spicy cigar. If it's a super spicy cigar, I'm gonna run from it and probably not gonna recommend it, right? Because I feel like all the aging that goes into making a Maduro wrapper, all the aging that goes into making a Lajero, and all that stuff, we're kind of washing our hands with it and saying, you know what, just make a spicy cigar.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, there's a lot more nuances and a lot more notes that you get outside of just spicy. So with this list that Charles has walked them through, you give them a great price point. Romeo and Julieta is 1875 is also considered a medium cigar. What you're doing is you're elevating them quicker than what they need to be elevated. We need to know what origin they like, right?
Yep.
They may not like a Kasugi because they don't like Honduras. They may not like a Mil Diaz because they may not like Nicaraguan. Matilda, I've heard of that one, but I looked it up real quick, and that is more of a Habano wrapper. But they may not like this stuff, and that's the problem. That's the problem we don't want to run into.
Yep. And I mean, I think it's hard too, because I really enjoyed hearing the description of your beginner setup, because of the sheer fact of you wound up starting them at, something that went from mellow, what we would classify as mellow, and you brought them up through the ranks very easily. You went from mellow to kind of mellow to mild to medium to full, and then you wound up giving them a little taste of, like you said, with the Zeno Platinum series, you wound up giving them a little taste of, hey, now this is what 3-year-old Scotch tastes like, and now what's here, this is what 15-year-old Scotch tastes like. You're giving them a taste of, notice how new and kind of intense these flavors are, and then notice how refined and chill these flavors are that give you a much smoother smoke. But you also don't want to try and keep spending that 15, 16, 20, 25, 30 and plus dollars every time you smoke a cigar, that there are other options out there that can give you just as much enjoyment, but not break your wallet or your piggy bank. So I think that that's a really important fact to try and bring to the audience here, that sometimes it's not always about you pay a top dollar cigar and get this amazing, unbelievable cigar that you'll never want to drop down from, but that you'll also wind up increasing a little bit of your notes, but also go down to the other sizes as well, and the other, what would you say, the other regions of tobacco, to see, hey, you know what? Nicaraguan might be really, really great, but guess what? Dominican also puts out a really good cigar as well. Or Oscar Valdez grows a lot of his tobacco in Pittsburgh. So Villadares. I'm sorry. My Spanish is a little off. I apologize. But Cigars by Oscar also grows some of their tobacco in Pittsburgh. So they wind up having a different blend of type of tobacco that winds up being something completely different from Dominican and Nicaraguan, which you might enjoy as well.
And you have a very valid point, man. I think the most important aspect of it all is, ensuring that we don't try to elevate or push somebody's palate quicker than what it needs to be. I mean, ultimately, you want to get to a point where it's something that can grow, right? Something that can, expand. If we try to expand it from the start, the thing about expansion, if you just throw money into it so fast without figuring out what works, then now you have wasted a lot of money, because now you're going to 9 times out of 10 fail and whatever you just threw a whole bunch of money at, right?
Yep.
So you want to give it time to grow, understand the concepts, understand the progresses within the development of it, and say, okay, I did this right, I didn't do this right. I did this right, I didn't do this right, right?
Right.
And beginning into cigar smoking is just like that. I smoked this, I didn't like this. I smoked this, I didn't like this. I tried this size, I didn't like this size. I tried this cigar in a different size, I liked it. And the other size you gave me, I didn't like it. Right. So it's everybody has different. It's different for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I think that's the hard part, especially with, in your position and what used to be my position is somebody comes out off the street, walks through the door, looks around a little bit, comes up to the front counter and says, "Hey, you like cigars? Where should I go?" And I think that's the hardest question for anybody who just comes off the street to come up to somebody and say, "Where should I go?" Because there's so many questions that I'm going to ask you. Well, have you ever smoked a cigar before? Where did you land if you smoked those cigars before? If you haven't smoked a cigar before, have you ever smoked cigarettes? Have you ever, smoked anything before? Give me some sort of starting point. Don't just come into the beginning and say, "Well, where do I start?" Because there's a lot of different factors that go into that. If you're right off the bat, never smoked a cigar before, never smoked cigarettes, pot, vape, anything in the world, I'm going to look at you and say, "All right, let's start you down, way down here. And let's see how you enjoy this or don't enjoy this." You might want something a little more flavorful, something a little bit more on the infused side, just to kind of get you started. There's so many different avenues that you can go into when you first enter a cigar store and you're saying to yourself, there's so much to concentrate on. Where do I even begin? And I think that's the hardest thing for anybody who owns a store such as you, Jack, or somebody who's worked a store such as me and Johnny, to try and answer those questions without really having the background knowledge of that person or that individual.
And you're absolutely right. And even what Charles said, when talking with somebody that they like to drink or eat, say they like spicy foods, high proof whiskeys, or espresso, at Connecticut may not be the starting point. But at the end of the day, what you don't want to do is, if they like that stuff, you're right, it probably would not be the starting point. But then again, they have no clue what they like.
Right.
They can be drinking that same stuff just based off of a recommendation. They could be eating that same stuff based off of a recommendation. You don't really know until you try it what you actually like. If you come back and say all of those weren't, they were too mild for me, then cool, let's go another step. But at least they were able to tell me that, not based off an assumption like, "Oh, you like spicy food? Oh, you like high proof bourbon? Let me give you this Maduro."
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like now they over here and they come back and tell you, that was way too much for me.
Yep.
Because your high proof bourbon, you can say, "Hey, what kind of bourbon do you like?"
Yep.
And in their mind, they're trying to tell you, "Well, I like Whistle Pick 18. What's the chance that they're smoking, drinking Whistle Pick 18 every single time? What's the chances that they're drinking Widow Jane every single time? What's the chances that they're drinking doubled oak by a Woodford every time? What is the chances of them drinking a single berry every time?" And that chances is very low.
Yep.
Now they could like an espresso. I like espresso, but I don't drink espresso black.
Yep.
I add a couple Splendors in there.
Yep.
So it does, just because I like that stuff doesn't mean I also don't like spicy foods.
Yep.
I like high proof bourbon and I like espresso, but I don't like a spicy cigar.
Yep.
So a lot of it is it's very subjective, and it's very understanding of what you like, right? Not what my friends like, not what Sean like, not what Charles like, not what Johnny like. It's about what we like, and that's the most important part of it.
And I think that goes a lot to say that, at least for myself personally, I've had guys that have come into the cigar lounge and said, "Oh yeah, I had a friend recommend this, this, and this." And it's like, all right, well, that's cool. We have 2 out of those 3. But, what do you want to smoke? Oh, well, they recommended this, this, and this. Okay, well, have you ever smoked those before? Have you ever smoked a cigar before? And some say, "Yeah, I've smoked a cigar." Okay, then I'll go ahead and I'll give you this, this, and this. But I think that goes a lot with saying that, when you first start smoking cigars, I think that you can't go off a recommendation. I think that you can ask people where they think you should start. And I think that all depends on how you word it. If you just go up to somebody and say, hey, I want to smoke a cigar for the first time, what do you recommend? You're going to be all over the map. Versus you saying, hey, I want to smoke a cigar for my first time. Where do you think I should start? And I think anybody who says, well, where you should start, I don't think you should start them off at a $25 cigar that you think is the cream of the crop. And I think that's what makes it very difficult for people like me or Jack or Johnny or anybody here that's watching who might work in a cigar shop or go to a cigar shop to do their job properly, because now they already have in their mind that you think you should go with a Charter Oak Maduro. Oh, Charter Oak Maduro, great cigar. Okay, well, if it's your first time smoking a cigar, maybe Charter Oak's not a great cigar for you to start out with. And I think that's where, you need to kind of rely on your brick and mortar a little bit. Notice how I said a little bit on where they think you should start, but then, kind of find either your own avenue or do some of your own research before you walk into that and say, what are the top five beginner cigars to start with? And then maybe start there and then go from there. You know what I mean? And Jack, do you agree with that? Or, because you own your own business. So, you kind of have your own process of doing things, but would you agree that somebody should maybe do their own research, or, how do you feel?
I think absolutely. But I think also we got to get to a point where we understand that most people are not going to go read, let alone know how to read what they're actually looking for in a cigar, right?
Right.
Because it's subjective, right? I could say this cigar tastes like cashews, leather, and oak. They're like, well, I didn't get none of that from there.
I got smoke.
I got smoke, right? So
yep.
It's also like, okay, I didn't teach my daughter how to chew before she knew how to suck, right? Wait a minute, pause, time out.
Yeah, right.
That didn't come out right.
Right.
But you get what I'm saying, right?
You get the point.
You get the point. You have to crawl, walk, run, right? Yep. You got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run. And that's a lot of what it's starting off as. I would love to be here for the rest of the show. Sean, I know you're going to kill it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man.
I do have to run. I love you guys. I'll be back next week for a full show. But I wanted to make sure I came and blessed my presence with everything and, just tell you guys how much I love you guys. So, Sean, you're doing a great job. Keep it going, bro.
I appreciate it, Jack. Everybody, give Jack your utmost love. Maybe some hearts in the chat. Everybody, Jack, thank you for stopping in, man. We're going to take this for the next little bit, man. We're gonna make you proud, brother. Don't you worry.
Absolutely. I love you, bro.
Love you too, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely.
So, going off of what Jack said, now, I never disagree with my brothers. I never disagree with Jack or with Johnny. And I think it's nice that we all have our own personal experiences to be able to, add a little bit to this subject. Now, for me personally, if somebody came in for the first time to the cigar shop and said, hey man, like I've never smoked a cigar before, what do you suggest? There's two ways that I could go about this. I could say, hey man, I'll give you these suggestions, or depending on how I felt that night, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't always have the best demeanor. I know I'm very spiritual, but I don't always have the best demeanor. I'd say, you know what? Find the wrapper that you think is the coolest and buy it. Give it a try. You got to start somewhere. And look, before I even continue with this thought, I can see right here in this top corner of my screen, people that are watching. Don't leave now because Jack's gone. Okay, we're gonna have a good time with Sean here too. So please don't leave. We're gonna get into this. I'm gonna dive into this deeper. Okay, so please don't leave. All right. So, continuing on to that, there's so many different options that you can wind up going with when trying to present somebody with a first-time cigar smoker with this big option of, hey, look, here's from this wall to this wall and some behind me and the counter in front of me. Pick a cigar. Tell me what you like. There's a lot of options that go into this. And I think that it gets to the point where it's like sometimes it's so overwhelming for people to try and just walk into a cigar shop and say, all right, have at thee. Let's go. Let's just pick a cigar, and if it's a crappy cigar, I'll go with it. I think it's really important for any of us that are sitting there, anybody that walks in the door at the same time somebody else does, anybody who's working behind the counter at a cigar shop. I think it's important for all of us not to try and push our beliefs on somebody, but help to guide somebody who you overhear a conversation. They go up to the front counter and say, hey, I would love to start smoking cigars. I need a good place to start. And Charles, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. I'm going to try and do the best I can with what Jack does and put your comments up on the screen. Thank you so much, Charles, for still being here with me. I love you, brother. You're an awesome, awesome guy. You're amazing, and I'm so glad that we always have you here in the stream, brother. I think we all have that responsibility to be able to say, hey, man, like, I'm not trying to tell you where to go. I'm not trying to tell you what to smoke. But if you're just getting into it, this is where I've started before. And I think that there's a lot that goes into it because, you have those people that wind up coming into a cigar shop and they know everything. These are the best cigars. These are the ultimate cigars. These are the cigars that you'll never want to smoke anything else. You're only going to smoke these cigars. And I think that, I'm not saying that those people are blowhards, and I'm not saying that those people rep too hard, but, let's be honest here. There's guys that stick by their brands. There's guys that will always stick by Perdomo, Padron, Plasencia, Oscar, LFD, whatever. I can name a million different brands. They're always going to stick by one of those brands because they have the most enjoyment out of that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get that enjoyment out of it. And I think that that's really important to understand, that if you're watching this right now and you say to yourself, hey, I'm a first-time cigar smoker, and this guy says that Oscar or Cigars by Oscar are the best damn cigars out there. I'm going to smoke that. And then you wind up having a bad experience. Well, then what? Now you're going to say, well, now I've been lied to about everything. Or now you're going to have a little bit of hesitantness to say, okay, well, I was lied to by this guy because I didn't like that one that much, and I thought it would have been a lot better. But now anybody who gives me an example of a cigar, I'm going to be a little hesitant on it. Now, in your mind, you're saying to yourself, okay, well, this LFD might not be as good as I think it is. What if he's lying to me? So it's a very, very confusing / trusting / I don't know what the hell I'm doing / type of situation. But, there are people out there like Jack from Dapper D Cigars, which, by the way, if you have any of your cigar needs and you're in Tampa Bay, Florida, or online, go to Dapper D Cigars. I guarantee you he'll hook you up with something you're absolutely going to love. But you have people like Jack and Johnny and myself, and I'm going to throw some people in here that I know are in the comments right now. Charles, Ted, Terry Monroe, all these people that have smoked cigars for so long have smoked a decent amount of cigars that can probably guide you in a decent way. Now, I know you're not going to go into a cigar shop and say, is Terry Monroe here? Just by any chance. Is Charles W. Ruth here? Just so that way I can get there. I know that. I know that none of you are going to go in there asking for these people. But there are people out there that are going to help guide you through something. You don't always have to listen to the tobacconists behind the counter, because Jack said it. He hit the nail on the head. There's not always a lot of tobacconists that are out there that will give you the best possible starter. And that's sad to say, but it's true. Some people, you have to realize, just like if you go to McDonald's, just like if you go to a gas station, just like if you go to, Outback, whatever, there's a lot of people out there that don't always try a lot of the stuff that's on the shelves. I made it a point when I wound up working in a cigar shop that I tried something from every brand, whether it be the Black Dahlia, whether it be, the Cicerone by Oscar, whether it be, the LFD Capulito number 2, whether it be the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne, the Leather Rose by Drew Estates, whatever was out there. I tried to put myself in a situation where I could try every cigar and say to myself, okay, in this shop here, I have tried this, this, and this. If this is what you're looking for, then you need this, and this. Not everybody does that. And not saying that you should always go by what the cigar looks like, because let's be honest here. This cigar here, now it's a little light because of my light right here, but let me just cover that light up a little bit. This cigar right here, this is The King is Dead by Cadwell. Now, this is, a beautiful looking cigar. Now, it's not a Connecticut, but it's not a Maduro either. So you trying to explain, we'll go only for Connecticut's. Now you're going to try and have somebody leave the shop and drive to Connecticut and say to themselves, okay, where do I find a good cigar in Connecticut? I don't even know what state Maduro's in, but maybe I should try and go to Maduro. Now, there's so many different things that have an effect on different cigars. And, it's important for you to be able to try and not figure those out for your own, but take a little bit of advice from everyone and make that plausible choice that you've said, okay, LFDs wind up being a little bit more spicy. Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne is a little more mellow. Maybe I should try and land somewhere in the middle and go with the Charter Oak Maduro or the Charter Oak Natural and try and go somewhere from there. Terry Monroe says it. Don't be afraid to try something. Absolutely. If you've smoked a couple cigars before and you're like, all right, I want to try and venture out. I want to try and go somewhere with it. Not trying to say throw a dart in the cigar shop somewhere, but just walk down the line and say, hey, you know what? This band looks pretty freaking cool. You might not be able to see it too well, but that band looks pretty freaking cool. Let me try that real quick. Let me see what's going on with that. And let me see what I can do with that. And see, what you can do and see, if that's a cigar that you might want to stay on to or say, all right, that was a horrible mistake. Never going there again. Charles saying, LOL, no, but I do have people messaging me while in a shop and send me pics of their humidor asking what I think they should try. That's always fun. Well, but Charles, you got to understand too, like you're in here every week. So I would assume that you smoke cigars at least 2 to maybe 5 times a week. Rounding numbers, big gap for cigar smokers, but 2 to 5. There's people that are going to come to you and say, hey, you know what? Have you tried this cigar? What do you think I should try? What do you think I should do? Where should I go next on this cigar journey? And I think that's always, a safe bet as well, to ask somebody that's been around the block. And Charles brings up another good point here. Keep a list of what you like, but also keep a list of what you hate. And there's actually an app there's an app on your phone that you can download that I believe is My Cigar Journal. I believe that's what it's called. There's a couple of them on iTunes, the Apple app, Getter, whatever it's called. That you can actually take a picture of your cigar. It tells you what the cigar is, and then you can write your own review. I know people like my father, who's a little bit more old school and has raised me a little bit more old school. We save bands. We save bands. My dad has a sketchbook that he takes a glue stick, glues the band down, and gives a little, check, X, or, maybe a little question mark. Like, you know what? Maybe, maybe I'll do it again. It's not bad, but maybe I'll do it again. You can be your own cigar critic. And to me, at least personally, you can listen to me, you can listen to Jack, you can listen to Johnny, but you are your own cigar critic. We can tell you right now 5 cigars that you need to smoke and that you'll never stop smoking. And you might only like 2 out of the 5. You might like 5 out of the 5. You might like 4, 3, 1, any of those numbers out of the 5. So it's very important that you guys stay as your own cigar critic and take a little bit of knowledge from everything. Take a little bit of knowledge from the people that you've smoked with. Sitting in a cigar lounge, you sat there, hey man, what are you smoking? Oh, I'm smoking this. Well, how do you like it? Oh man, it's great. Good cigar, at least for my palate. They might even not even get into their palate, but hey man, it's a great cigar. Oh, awesome, man. Well, what makes it great? Ask those questions. A lot of us that are sitting in a cigar lounge aren't going to look at you like a weirdo because these are simple questions that a lot of us started out asking. Hey man, what are you smoking? I'm smoking the 10th anniversary champagne. Oh, awesome, man. I smoked that before. What do you think about it? Oh, man, I think it's great. Yeah, me too. All right, well, what are you smoking next? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to smoke this. You know, there's so many different areas that you can go into with cigars, and that's what makes it beautiful. And Terry Monroe earlier wound up bringing up this, cigar events also give you a great education on different brands, which is true as well. If you've never had that cigar brand, and I think the Smoking Dog in Maple Shade, New Jersey, wound up having a cigar event not too long ago for, was it Blackbird cigars? If you've never had anything from Blackbird, such as the Cocoa, the Finch, any of those cigars, you want to get into, hey, I've never smoked Blackbird before. Let me go to this event and see what they're about. Let me hear them talk about it. 9 times out of 10, you have a representative there that knows the cigar that they're repping or that they're trying to sell you inside and out. So, go to those events. Learn about the cigars. I know Nick Perdomo always used to do cigar events. I know that he's been busy right now, and I'm sure he still does cigar events, but hasn't been around me lately. But if he had one around me, hell yeah, I'd go. And I've gone to like 3 or 4 of them. But I always love learning something new about the cigar industry. And look at Jack. Jack right now is taking a tour of the Perdomo Tobacco Factory. I mean, the dude has as much knowledge as some of the greats. Jack and Johnny, both amazing, knowledgeable guys when it comes to cigars. And he's out finding out more about Perdomo. So don't think that you're like up here when it comes to knowledge. You can always learn more knowledge about these cigars, whether you're down here or up here. Doesn't matter. Price doesn't always make it. Oh, Terry Monroe saying price always doesn't make a good cigar. And that's a great point too. The more you pay for a cigar doesn't necessarily mean that you're paying for a greater taste. It just means that you're paying for a cigar that maybe was taken care of a little more, might have gone through a little bit of a longer process, might have been voted number 1 in Cigar Aficionado, whatever the case may be, just like most things. Just because you buy, I don't know, a Tesla doesn't mean that it's any better than a Honda Accord. Just because you wind up buying a Mini Cooper doesn't mean that it's any better than a Volkswagen Beetle. If you wind up taking care of that cigar, if you buy that cigar, come home, put it in your humidor, and your humidor is always set to 68, 69, 70, whatever's good for you, and you pull that out 2 weeks later and you smoke that cigar and it's a great cigar, you could have paid $4 for it. You could have paid 8, 10, 13, 15. It doesn't necessarily mean that the price is going to give you that top-notch cigar, because I'll be honest with you, there's some cigars out there that cost 15, 16, anywhere in between, that I like better than some of the cigars that wind up costing me 20 to 23 to 25. It's the way things go. And in this cigar world, there are so many cigars, between boutique cigars that are starting to hit wildly now. I mean, wildly. Boutique cigars came out of nowhere. It was like 1 minute you have traditional, and then boom, boutique cigars came out of nowhere. I mean, like the barbecue pig, the street tacos. I mean, even some cigar companies out there that right now that are Facebook groups. Cigar Clowns came out with their own cigar. I think they have the chocolate and the vanilla cone cigar. I mean, there's cigars out there that are just boutique cigars that wind up hitting harder than most of the cigars that are out there that have been around for years. That there's so much out there in this industry. That's why we can have a podcast every Sunday and still not be able to catch up. It's the truth. It is the absolute truth. There's not enough cigar podcasts that we can do to catch you up as the viewer on what's going out there. It's the truth. Absolute truth. 110% truth. Go to your local brick and mortar shop. I could do a cigar review, 1 cigar review a day for 1 cigar, Monday through Sunday. So that's 7 cigars a week. That's 365 cigars a year. And I wouldn't even scratch the surface of all the cigars that are out there. Because by the time I'm done that 365, there might be another 30, 40 cigars that have dropped in that year. And I didn't even go through half of the cigars that have been around for the last 5, 6 years. It's the truth. You know, it is the absolute truth. But the whole purpose of this podcast today, besides being live from Nicaragua, which we were live from Nicaragua for a little bit, now I'm back in New Jersey, is that, you know, as a beginner smoker, where to try and start. I'm going to say these 5 things. All right, so where to start as a beginner cigar smoker getting into this, or maybe you just jumped ahead and you're like, you know what, let me do this right. Let me see what these guys are going to say. Let me loosen up for this. There we go. Okay. Number 1, do a little bit of research. All right. A little bit of research goes a long way. Okay. I'm not saying that you have to sit there on, let's just say, Cigar International's webpage. Look at a couple cigars, see where the little meter reads and says that yellow is mellow and red is full-bodied. Not knowing where it's at, do a little bit of research. Okay? Find some cigars that might be in that mellow to mild range. So that would be like yellow to just touching the orange range, if I'm not mistaken, on CI's website. Do a little bit of research. Go into the store kind of assuming what you might want to start out as. Number 2, talk to the person behind the counter, the brick and mortar, the cigar shop. Hey, man, just getting into this. Or, hey, I've been smoking cigars for a while, but I want to kind of start from the beginning. Start from the basics. Let me really put my time and effort into this. What do you suggest? They're going to, hopefully if you get somebody like Jack or Johnny, they're going to point you in the right direction and get you to a spot where you're going to enjoy the cigar. You're not going to hate the cigar. You might not like the cigar completely, but it's kind of a starting point. So you're like, all right, I got to kind of clear my head of everything I've smoked before. Let me start from the beginning and see how this is going to be. Go from there. Before I get on to 3, 4, and 5, Charles says, always be willing to learn. Read about what you want to try. Read online. Publications such as Cigar Public, Cigar Aficionado, and all the others. Just learn. And that's exactly what I'm saying, Charles. That was point number 1, brother. Glad we're on the same page, man. I'm glad we're on the same page. My 3rd point. All right. So we have do some educating. Learn yourself. Ask behind the counter. My 3rd point. When you go in and you smoke a cigar, talk. Talk to the people that are in there. Don't get on your phone. Don't put your headset in. Don't do any of that. Talk. Take a couple puffs, look around the room, see a smiling face or a friendly face, and hey, man, what are you smoking? Oh, that's cool, man. What's that one like? Can you describe that to me? Ask. Just like anything. How do you know that you want to go see that next movie? How do you know that you want to eat that dinner? How do you know that you want to try and eat that cheesesteak? How do you know you want to do this? How do you know you want to do that? You hear it. You hear it either on the radio or somebody's told you or talked about it around your company. Talk to the people in your cigars lounge. Talk to the people that aren't in your cigar lounge. Talk to the people that are in a new cigar lounge that you've never talked to before. Point number 4, keep a diary. I know that sounds dumb, and I'm not telling you that you have to dive in every time you smoke a cigar. Dear diary, I smoked an LFD tonight. It was really spicy. My bunghole hurts. My throat hurts. Going to bed, trying to sip water and clear my throat for tomorrow. Don't have to get that detailed. Hey, smoked an LFD tonight, little spicy, didn't really do it much for me right now. Might revisit later. End of story. Now 3 months down the line, when you wind up saying, you know what, I'm going to go to the cigar shop tonight. What am I going to smoke? Well, let me go back and see what I already smoked. Oh, crap. That LFD looked pretty good last time. I don't think I'm going to smoke that. I write what I wrote here is might describe. I might not be ready for that yet. Let me move on to something different. Jot it down. Save your labels. Know what you like. Know what you don't. Don't keep smoking stuff that you don't, because then you're never going to want to enjoy more. Come back and investigate that later. Before we get to the top and 5th point, don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask the staff, ask the members, join a social group and ask them. Just ask for help if you need it. And that's an absolute amazing point, Charles. just remember, some people on the cigar groups on Facebook can be really, really snobby. Drop out of that cigar group and go to the smoking section or go to Dapper D's cigar page or go to Johnny the Cigar Banker on Instagram. Those guys, Jack and Johnny, will never be just, will never discriminate. Will never wind up judging you for the questions you ask. But that's a good point. Always ask questions. Never be afraid to learn. And never be afraid to ask those questions. Just like they told you in school. You're never going to learn how to do this if you don't ask questions. So don't sit there and don't ask questions or hope that somebody else is going to ask that question for you. And to my fifth point. So let's review before we get back to the fifth point. Okay? Do your research. Ask behind the counter. Ask the members that are there. Always ask those questions. Number 4 and number 5. Number 5 being, if you wind up trying a cigar, go in with an open mind. Always go in with an open mind. That's the best thing that I can give you for advice. For out of all of those advices, number 5, always go in with an open mind. Don't say that this cigar sucks or that this cigar isn't good. It might be good to somebody else, but you might not be up to that par level. You might not be up to that par level yet. So don't write it off yet. Try something a little bit of a step down or maybe a step up from that and then go back and enjoy it later. And that doesn't mean cut it, save it, and then come back 3 months later when it's a nub. I mean, smoke it, see what you can get out of it. Once you're done, wind up going back to it maybe like a year later, 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it takes. Go back to it later. See if your palate has matured to see where you're going to learn with those cigars. And that's how we all start. That's how we all start out, is by learning through trial and error. Learning a little bit about the cigar, asking people about different cigars, trying to figure out what's best for us, and then trial and error. So give that your try. Hopefully this has been a educational, somewhat funny, hopefully you're not going to hate too much of what I said video. We did get Jack in here tonight. Johnny was not in here. You are very wise, sir. Good job. Thank you, Charles. And Charles also says Instagram, Smoke and Oak TN. If I can ever help lead somebody, or if I can ever help or lead you to someone who can. There you go. So Charles has put his Instagram up there. Charles, I'm going to wind up following your Instagram as well because I love you, brother. You're an awesome dude, and I love seeing what you smoke. But no, hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's video. I'm sorry that you didn't have the 3 Smoke Amigos or the 3 Smoketeers, I think we were calling ourselves for a little while. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's show. Next week, I know that Jack is definitely going to be on. I'm sure Johnny's definitely going to be on as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's show. By the way, tonight's show is sponsored by Dapper D Cigars for all your cigar needs. If you're ever in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, go check out Dapper D Cigars. And for anybody who doesn't visit the Tampa Bay area, you can always go to dapperDcigars.com to check them out. Also, tonight, I want to do a special little shout out because I told them that I would, because they are an amazing, amazing group. They're like family. They were at my wedding. I love them to death. I didn't get a chance to use it because I wound up talking too much and my cigar went out. But Finley's Boutique, if you ever get a chance, if you are in the need of some cigar accessories, whether it be, one of these, one of the little pokers for your cigars, your cigar dagger, I believe they call them. I call them a poker. I like pokers more. If you ever need a cigar poker, cutter, anything to that effect, Finley's Boutique is a great place to go check that stuff out. Very awesome mother and daughter team. They are absolutely great, Jess and Finley. Awesome family. I love them to death. They actually made me this one for my wedding, which was like a nice little cool, I don't think you can see it too well, cool little spider on there. There you go. That's better. Cool little spider on there with some Halloween black and silver. Really, really awesome. Great product. as well. So if you ever get a chance, check out Finley's Boutique on Facebook, Instagram, and also on the online web. But with that being said, everybody, I appreciate everybody for chilling out with me tonight. There you go. Charles is saying visit Dapper D's Cigars. And just so you guys know, something that we're going to be starting, which I'm glad that I remembered, because I don't think Jack would have, because he has a lot on his mind. He's got everything going. He's always business, and let's go. Something we want to start, and I actually suggested this last week to try and get you guys a little bit more involved as well. Tonight, we are doing the very first Virtual Smoke Deck VIP in the comments section. I think you guys all know who that might be. Mr. Charles W. Ruth is our MVP for the Virtual Smoke Deck tonight. How do you become a VIP in the Virtual Smoke Deck? Just keep on chatting up. Put it in the comments. Talk. Relax. Make comments. Invite somebody. Have that person tell us who invited them to the Virtual Smoke Deck, which that challenge is still going. But tonight's most interactive person on the Virtual Smoke Deck was Mr. Charles W. Ruth. So please give Charles a great round of applause. Next week, we will be picking another VIP in the Virtual Smoke Deck for who's been in the chat. So with that being said, everybody, I appreciate every single one of you. I know Jack and Johnny appreciate you guys as well. I love you. I know they love you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Next week, we will be back with another show on Sunday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be repping a lot of these shows in my videos on the smoking section come this week. I'll be putting out a lot of videos as well. But please go check out the show next Sunday. Please tell your friends. Okay, just even if they stay for a minute, tell them, hey, hello, my friend Charles told me to come in here. That's a lot better than nothing. So please tell your friends about it. That challenge is still going on. So please know that we love you guys, and we will always love you. And thank you guys so much for your support. As always, I'm Sean from the smoking section. I'm Jack from Jack the Enthusiast, and Dapper D Cigars. And I'm Johnny from Johnny the Cigar Banker. I tried doing it. I'm sorry. I can't do them justice, but I'm Sean with the smoking section. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I will see you guys soon. As always, be blessed, stay smoking, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Later, boys.